What's happening, party people? Hey, I am in Cincinnati, Ohio. The video was shot in another location, but I am in Cincinnati, Ohio. A couple of quick things. I have listed several parts on my website, robertdiy.com. You can go there. There are some rear shocks for front wheel drive XC90s from maybe '03 to 14, something like that. There's a S60R steering wheel there with the good airbag that is on that site. It has a good emblem on it and several other things. So if you would and you may be interested in parts, jump over to robertdiy.com. Check out the parts. Like I said, we just listed a few things. And if you need something, the prices are there. If for some reason you want to negotiate, send me a text message or call me. Say, hey, Robert, I'm interested in that. Can you take this amount for it? Maybe we'll consider doing that. But that's what's going on. I'm no longer accepting restricted calls. Man, I have my phone number published to all internet users that get on YouTube. I don't know how many that is. That's probably 100 million people. They have access to my phone number. I give it there freely. I'm there to help people. You call me from a restricted number, that's kind of saying that you don't trust me with your number. If you don't trust me with your number, just don't call. Send a text or just don't contact me. Take your car to a mechanic, pay them $150, $250, $300 an hour to help you with your problem. I'm not taking restricted calls. I don't know. It's been bothering me for a couple years, but I got one a day or two ago, and I kind of said, "Hey, I'm just not doing it no more." So there's that. Um, I'm going to get on PayPal. A couple people asked me how to set up PayPal to automatically send money monthly. I'm going to get on PayPal, see if I can figure that out. There should be a way to tell that thing to do that as a reoccurring donation or whatever it is. So I appreciate you guys that are doing that. Somebody said that Patreon takes 40% of all donations. I'm going to check that out in the next few days, verify that, and hey, if you guys want to send paper checks or donations through PayPal like some do, or Cash App, that'll be better. If you're sending me $5 and they're taking two, I'm getting three, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I appreciate all the support I get. But if we know there's a better way to get me more of the donation money, and sometimes when I meet people, they give me donations, so that's great as well. I had somebody meet me when I went through Albuquerque and made a donation, and I appreciate it. That helped pay for gas and stuff like that. So I appreciate everybody's support. So anyway, check the parts on the site, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching. Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert. That's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Kicking off the morning, creeping through an Arizona pass. Look at this windy mountain road. Only thing is, there's a box truck ahead of us. He is creeping. So we really can't enjoy the road, and we're losing a lot of time. But man, this is beautiful. A couple weeks, this will all be covered with snow. It's 59 right now. A couple weeks, it'll be 35, and all the snow will be packed in here. They even have rock slides and everything. Look, they got the barriers catching the rocks. Beautiful countryside. Oh yeah, the truck pulled over to let us by. Thank goodness, man. They have those pullovers that they let people get by, so hopefully we'll pick up the pace a little bit. Here with a 96, getting ready to do a timing belt job. He's got some of the prep work done. Look at this beautiful car. Almost like a time capsule. 38,000. Let's go ahead and say it all together. Original miles. Man. So this car was bought in this area. Don't think it's ever had a timing belt water pump, so we're gonna knock that out. And man, it looks like a low mileage vehicle. If you got a low mileage vehicle that's been put up somewhere, this is how it could look. And even that rubber feels good. Wow. Let's go ahead and dig in. We're also going to do a trans cooler on this vehicle. It's purchased from iPd. We're draining the coolant now to do the timing belt water pump job. Then we're going to do the trans cooler job. Then I think we're going to do the fuel filter. So let me go ahead and remove this stuff. Get this trans cooler job moving. All original. Timing belt, rollers, water pump, 38,000 miles. Man, that's amazing. Let me keep at it. I'm gonna see if I can get that loose with a 40 instead of a 45 so he don't have to buy one. There ain't no way this old worn out 40 is gonna get that 45 out, so I'm gonna back off that idea and get the rest of this stuff out real quick. We got the timing belt off and we spun the water pump and it actually squeaked. So I believe it's time to be replaced. It came off in a few pieces, but I think we got it all. And now we just gotta clean up the surface, put some light on it down there, and start going back together. We had a challenge with our T40 bit. We got one from AutoZone, and the bit is kind of wide. Really don't fit in there, especially if you have a thicker ratchet wrench. I had a more narrow ratchet wrench, about a 1/4 inch narrower, and I could use the tool to break it loose. And after I broke it loose, I had to turn it out with my hand, and then the tool still almost got caught. Wherever that socket is. Did I set it over there? I set it somewhere. So this is the length of the Laos on the right, and this is the length of your standard one on the left. And if you have a thicker ratchet wrench, you can't get in there and get that thing broke loose, that T45. We rolled the engine around, everything looks good. Timing is still aligned, dead on. Pulled the hand grenade pin. Before we roll the timing, we should be good to go to start the car after we refill the coolant system. So next I'm gonna put the serpentine belt on, put the computers back in, then we're gonna finish up on the transmission cooler. Everything together on the timing side, we're gonna put this trans cooler in here. This trans cooler comes from iPd. And the life of your transmission actually depends on the fluid staying below a certain temperature. So we got this set here. You take the screw out of the condenser and put the screw in for the cooler. We got the cooler going across and the top lines going across. So over here, you come over to the transmission and you take that line loose there. And this will let this run in series with the radiator. It's good to have a radiator hooked up to your transmission because your radiator actually helps your transmission warm up. You don't want it running too cold all the time. And this cooler will help it run cool. So this is crimped on here or screwed onto here. So after you take that line loose there, you screw it onto here. And you take this line and screw it on top of the transmission there. So that's what we're about to do. Added a trans cooler from iPd. John was a little bit concerned about that screw digging into that radiator. On a turbo car, it's an intercooler, so he put a couple extra washers here to get that out from touching that. From down here, we broke that nut loose and it's turning on the line. This is the benefit of having a low mileage, unrusted car. So, hey, and no fluid came out. That's a treat. We was expecting fluid to come out. So now we want to hook this up on top of the transmission pan and hook this end up to that line we just connected. Do not over tighten that. And then you'll be hooked up in series. Let me route the lines before we connect them. I decided to run the lines above the line for the AC condenser. You seem to have less stress on it, hooking that line up to the transmission. Now the line is connected to the hose, but that does pivot. So I was able to pivot it in the right angle to get that connected there. And then I tightened it up with it's a 24 millimeter nut. Didn't over tighten it. I used a little bit less force than I used breaking it loose. That was on there for however many years. Then we turned this elbow up and hooked the line up to that. Now we're going to zip tie these lines together and just make sure they don't chafe on nothing that would cause them to get a hole rubbed in them. And you may want to check them, every 5,000 miles until you're sure they're going to be safe. But I think they're going to be safe there. They don't have any tension on them. And we just need to tighten this one up with a 24 and a 22. Don't over tighten it. You don't want to damage the fitting. And then put an extra half a quart into the transmission to take up for the amount of fluid that it's going to take to fill this transmission cooler. And then we're going to take it for a test drive and check it for leaks. Here it is, folks. Less than an hour. Got those brackets on. Cooler is there. iPd symbols. Hoses are running across there. Over here. Zip tie there, 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 there. Got that line plugged into the transmission there. I did take the battery tray out. And the other hose hooked up right against it. And that's what it looks like from the top. Should be good to go. Now you could totally bypass the radiator if you want. That I really don't recommend it, but some people do that with coolers. In that case, you would connect that other hose to the transmission, or the other one goes into the transmission somehow, or just make another special hose for it. We're going to start the car, let it run a few minutes, check it for leaks, and then put the timing belt cover and stuff back on. Got the battery in, the transmission cooler on. We do need a mount there. That mount's totally torn out. Maybe next time. Go ahead. Man, this engine is like silent. No leaking from the thermostat. We put a new thermostat in. All that stuff down there is whisper quiet. Nothing leaking from the transmission side. Nothing leaking from the radiator. We should be good to go. Look how straight that's tracking. And we have a leak. I think the connector that was already connected is leaking. And the other one is leaking too. So we should have made sure that those connectors were tight before we hooked them up to the car. The car connector's not leaking, but it's the connectors on the line. So let us snug those down. All right, we're going after the fuel filter. Nothing looks rusty under here, and we should be good to go. But he might have a minor fuel leak. He said he smells fuel whenever he refuels the car. So we're going to check, see if we can find an open vacuum line. Got the fuel filter replaced. I'm gonna see if I could get a Sharpie to write a date and mileage on there. And he said he was having problems smelling fuel after he filled up. And that's the rollover valve. Totally disconnected from that vacuum line right there. So I would get some 3mm vacuum line. Hook it up to this rollover valve. We used the launch scanner I have and reset the service light. Gonna take it for a quick test drive and call it a day. Ranchero. Probably like a 60-something.
It's running way too cold.
Look at this killer view, folks. Look at that. None of these fittings are tight.
Really?
That one's leaking. This one's leaking. You got to tighten all these fittings on the cooler.
You've never leaked before.
That is just barely leaking over there. Got to tighten that just a little bit more. But these are leaking pretty bad. So let's tighten those up and get this thing to stop leaking. I think we were probably able to get it. I used an adjustable jaw wrench. It's probably a 27mm. Tighten that down over 3 turns. Tighten that one down a turn. And I don't see anything leaking. That stuff had just a half a drop on one of the lines, so that should be good. And we should be good to go. We're going to wash that down with brake parts cleaner. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.